Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo, and tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, Grinder, and Bam Bam, a full house of lizards. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some scotch, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 12th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. Senator will give us some history on Fuente. We discuss storing your cigars in a locker, as well as our love of the television show Yellowstone, all among a variety of other things for the next hour. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair Arturo Fuente's Don Carlos Eye of the Shark with 12-year aged Aberlour Scotch. A lizard delicacy tonight, the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Eye of the Shark, which is, you won't find another cigar that looks like this. It's a Robusto that at the top is a Bellicoso, rounded, and then goes into a box press all the way to the foot. Just an unbelievable presentation. Of course, comes in a great box from Fuente, as they always do, but just a beautiful, beautiful cigar. And these are very hard to find, and damn, do we love them.
Mm-hmm.
Do we love them?
Yeah, it's really a box press torpedo because it just goes straight down.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
got to be difficult to roll, right? It's got to be difficult to put this together.
How they do this.
Yeah. So, all right, let's cut it. See what we get on the cold draw and the wrapper. So the Don Carlos line has been around for quite some time, 1976. This shape in the Don Carlos line was not released until 2017. And in that year was rated a 97 in Cigar Aficionado and was the #1 cigar of the year. So this is definitely a well-regarded and loved cigar.
That's 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017. When it first year it came out, it was #1.
Big fan of this cigar.
It's just so good.
It's a cookie.
Yeah.
Dude, is this a graham cracker?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yep. It's the most dessert-like stick I've ever had, the Shark. Just an unbelievable cigar.
This is, the cold draw is just...
It's different. It's built different.
It's built different. It's wild.
My draw is absolutely perfect, by the way.
Same.
How's your cut, Giz?
Great cut. Come on.
Oh, yeah, we got to make sure. All righty, it still looks like a Bellicoso at the top. Well done, Giz.
Bunch of ball busters and the lizards here. All right, boys, let's light this thing. The Don Carlos Eye of the Shark from Arturo Fuente.
So this has been sitting for a while, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
box,
so as the supplier, I opened a fresh box for the lizards I supplied this for tonight.
Thank you, Senator.
This has been sitting a year.
at least.
At least, probably over a
Maybe more.
year in my humidor. So there is already heavy age on this cigar, but it's also got some extra age just sitting in my humidor for a good period of time.
All right, let's light this thing up. It's a beautiful Robusto. 5 3/4 by
So good.
52 ring gauge.
Just the
And,
first draw.
I'm sorry. The aroma I'm
It's
getting just
unbelievable.
while it's being lit is like I'm in some sort of like a pastry shop or like baking factory. This is unbelievable.
So good.
Whenever we get Carlito Fuente on the pod, we just got to do this one again.
Yes.
We gotta say, where do you?
He's
what are you
just-
doing?
we need,
What are
we
you
need a
doing to
backdoor.
this?
We need a backdoor source for this cigar.
He's Drew estating and infusing graham cracker cookie into the shark.
Wow.
He's feeding the shark graham cooker.
The light on these is so special every single time.
So I would like to
I
rate.
don't even mess around. I take time with the light.
I would
Yeah.
like to give this a rating of 10.
Yeah, can we just jump to the rating? I know what I'm gonna give it already.
10 it is.
On the open.
Yeah. These are very, very hard to find.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
I think it's because they've got to be so hard to.
Supply and demand.
Oh, it's not even that. I mean, look,
They're just so hard to
let's-
roll.
Let's take demand completely out of the equation. There are only 3 cigars that are made in this shark size that someone coined years ago. It's the Don Carlos Shark, the Opus Shark, and the Arturo Fuente Añejo Shark. Those are the only 3 made in this size. To roll a cigar that looks as outrageous as this does, with this bellicoso at the end, like Giz said, and it just flares out and gets larger and then is box pressed at the end. I mean, this is not easy to do. And, Fuente is very guarded about exactly what's in this cigar because they clearly, there's some magic here. And the wrapper is an African Cameroon wrapper. The tobacco inside is all from the Dominican, but they don't say much else beyond that. What they do say, that the tobacco is heavily aged. I'd have to guess 5-7 years. But beyond that, we don't know a whole lot more. And I think because of clearly the aging required and what they put into this and how hard this must be to roll, they don't produce a ton of these cigars. So you add into it, of course, the demand, and that just exacerbates the problem. But
Yeah, I mean, it's talent, just talent. Like this whole cigar is talent. The
Yeah.
way they age it, obviously the leaves, whoever fucking rolls this thing, the band on it, the presentation of the box, the flavor is obviously out of this world. It's really something special.
It's the tobaccos that are in this. I mean, they're aged tobaccos, and I think they're grown in the Chateau Fuente, their own very special farm that they grow. A lot of the maybe the Opus blends and the Shark
that's right.
tobaccos.
I didn't know it was so. There's DC, Opus X, and the other one. What was the other one?
Yeah, Añejo.
Añejo.
Yeah,
So they all
which is a
come in the
Fuente.
Shark Vitola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never. We should. Have you ever had any of the others?
I've had all of them.
Yeah,
So how would you compare?
I have 2.
So, I mean, the reason I was happy to provide this tonight, this I think is the best of any of the Sharks that are made. I've had the Opus Shark, which is also an outstanding smoke. There's some debate, I think, even among the lizards. For me, my personal preference is the Don Carlos Shark over the Opus Shark. I know there are some guys that feel differently. And the Añejo Shark, it is a really, really dark wrapper. It's straight sugar and molasses and just a really
It's a
intense smoke.
full body smoke, full flavor.
Really intense.
Yeah.
And so for this size, this is a big cigar. It's just a little too much for me to appreciate fully. It's not a bad cigar by any stretch. I won't criticize it, but it's a lot for something this big. And for me, the Don Carlos Shark is just what checks every box.
Yeah.
And why I love
'Cause
this cigar.
I love everything that Opus X has. I've never had a bad one, so I'm curious eventually to do like a duel between the Opus X Shark.
I mean, if you've had like a really old Opus, like when they first came out, they were very different than the current ones.
Really?
The Opus now, it's got to sit for a while, at least a few years. If you had an Opus when they first came out, man, that was like good, maybe like 12, 15 years ago when they came out. I mean, those Opuses, they were phenomenal. And we had the pleasure to have a double, I think it was a double Corona.
A double
that
Robusto.
Double Robusto that
That's
a friend
right.
of ours had. And he, was generous enough to let us try
Well,
them.
we forced him to share them.
Forced
but-
them to try it. And they were unbelievable. Unbelievable.
They were.
I mean, they sat in his humidor or cabinet for like good 6-7 years, and they were unreal. So, I mean, to me, like this is a great stick. I mean, I prefer the Opus over this. It's a slightly more complex, more balanced, a little smoothed out. So, but if you can ever find it, I mean, they're so hard. Even
Yeah.
this one is so hard to find, but the Opus, forget it. You just don't come across it that often.
I think the Opus has a bit more flavor profile than this, but this I think is much creamier,
So which
much
That's the
smoother.
thing.
which one
Yeah.
was like the cigar of the year? The DC or
this
the
one.
Opus?
This one here.
This
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
So what's funny to me is when we talk about these cigars and discussing the flavors and all this other fun stuff, right? We immediately do, the comparison in our minds, right? Every cigar we have is like, how is this rate to the other one that I've had or a recent cigar? Because we're always relying on that kind of potpourri of flavors that we're balancing and tasting. And I find it fascinating that we're always, no matter what tasting or cigar smoking session we're having or a podcast, we're always comparing it to another Cuban, another Fuente or whatever, right?
Senator, I know you know a little bit about the Fuente family and the history here. What can you share with us to kind of color our understanding of?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm not a huge Fuente guy, and I love the. I feel like we all love the family history. We talked about Padron. That's generations of family have run that business, and Fuente is actually very similar and run in the same vein. So just in just doing a little homework and just reading about the history and how they got here, I think it's very fascinating. So Fuente was established in 1912 in Tampa, Florida. At the time, they were importing Cuban tobacco, but rolling the cigars there in Tampa. Following a catastrophic fire in 1924, so 12 years after the business started, the brand ceased production for 22 years. They essentially
Wow.
didn't have the money to start from scratch. The whole factory burned to the ground. And it reemerged in 1946 on a limited local basis. And this was one of the funniest parts of this story. So Arturo Fuente, who of course founded the brand, when it reemerged just locally, he had his son, Carlos, and his siblings roll 50 cigars a day after school. That's literally how he restarted the brand. I mean, I'm sure now there are like child labor laws probably against that, but that's how it started. So he was just selling and distributing locally in the area. And then in 1958, Arturo transferred the company to his son, Carlos, for $1 to essentially try to build and grow it. And so Carlos Sr. knew the only way at that point to really monetize and stay in business was either to go the machine route because they didn't have the labor, they couldn't afford to have all these people hand rolling these cigars, or to go elsewhere to move the operation. And so they first went to Nicaragua, later went to Honduras, and both of those didn't work out. So in Nicaragua, the Sandinistas, their uprising forced the Fuentes out of Nicaragua. Then in Honduras, this fire thing becomes a theme because their factory in Honduras also burned down. In that time period, while they were in those two countries, the Don Carlos brand was born in 1976. Fast forward to 1980. This was sort of the last ditch effort, right? They've struck out Nicaragua, Honduras, the factory burns down. Carlos Sr. mortgaged his home and cashed out his retirement to try to bring the brand back and moved it to the Dominican Republic, where it still exists today. Obviously, that was a very good bet. So Tabacalera Fuente, the big factory that's still there where they produce, most of the cigars that they make, that opened its doors in 1980. And Carlos Sr.'s son, who was 26 years old at the time, Carlito, who now today we know obviously runs the brand, he was instrumental in really establishing the brand in the Dominican and growing it to what it has become today. And then eventually in 1995, Carlito launched Opus X, which is another brand within Fuente's, the Fuente brand. And so this was the thing that fascinated me. I never knew this until I read this. Opus X was the first Dominican Puro cigar, period.
Ever?
Dominican
Wow.
Puro. Never knew that. So just a fascinating family story. If you just see, 3 generations of Fuentes, essentially, very similar to the Padron model, that have run, owned, and operated that business.
It's pretty incredible.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. The first Dominican Puro.
Can we get into the flavor notes?
I was just going to say, what are you guys getting on
My
this? 'Cause
God.
it's unbelievable.
I have to start. I'm sorry. It's, look, I love this cigar, but I haven't had one of these. Actually, wow, this is sad. I know exactly the last time I had one of these. It was a year ago. So these have definitely been in my humidor for then well over a year. Rooster's exactly right. Because the last time I lit this cigar up, it was
May.
No.
May or June.
We were with
way
you.
earlier.
When we got
We
them.
were with
Okay,
you.
sorry. Maybe I did light one up
Yeah,
in between.
we
then.
were with you. Yeah.
But the time that I vividly remember, it was in my lounge here with my father on Christmas Eve of last year. And that was the first time he had ever had the Don Carlos Shark. And the two of us were just sitting here. Again, I've smoked a lot of these, and every single time. And that's why I guess I had one maybe May or June, but I've only had one then in the past, year. And every time it gets me, and it's the complexity of the flavors, because when I'm getting right off the light, I'm getting citrus, honey, like a sweet honey creamy flavor, and that gingerbread baking spice. It's just, my goodness, shortbread. It's incredible.
It's woody, right? You get like
A little
woodiness
bit.
and musty, and and definitely the citrus. You
Yep.
get some citrus.
It's like a lemon meringue
Mhm.
pie in a cigar.
I am getting a bit of baking spice in this thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
on the retro hell.
Yeah, it's really it's a complex, sophisticated, very very elegant smoke. It's something to behold. This is an ultra premium cigar, in my opinion, that everyone I've ever smoked has just been outstanding. They're just so good.
I have such a weird flavor profile that I'm getting now. Everyone's ears are probably perking up because I have such a bizarre association with flavors. I'm getting like short ribs. I'm getting like a
No
I'm
mesquite?
getting like a Maillard reaction from like a good steak.
like the deglazing of a pan.
I'm serious.
I don't get that. Now, this has a lot of dessert flavors to
Yeah,
it.
it does. Oh yeah.
Not meat.
It's got spice though.
No meat here.
Well, not meat like meat for meat's sake, like Maillard meat, like charred, like good, rendered beef.
Beef.
That's been well,
Premium, prime beef. Clearly.
Wagyu.
The Wagyu.
This is to me a dessert, like to go on what Senator was saying. I mean, citrus baking, it's literally a lemon meringue pie in a cigar for me.
It's not a flavor bomb though. It's, I think,
It's so smooth.
it's smooth and elegant, and you're getting those notes.
But I still think you get a lot of flavor.
Oh, you get a lot of flavor. Yeah.
That's
For
one
me,
thing
it's
I
not a
like about
bomb,
this cigar.
flavor bomb, but I'm getting a ton of, for me, baking spice.
It's so different than a Cuban cigar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The flavors are very different.
Yeah.
The other thing is the construction of this cigar. I mean, I remember, ironically, and I have to give Rooster credit, the first time I ever had this cigar, Rooster gave me one of these. We were at a lounge of ours, and I had heard about this cigar. It's hard to find, and they usually pop up at tobacco shops and retailers, especially around the holidays. It's usually when Fuente will ship these out, and you got to get them quickly because everybody buys them up. And I remember just seeing the shape was just so outrageous to me. And this is one of the only cigars, and I can count on one hand, and we've all smoked hundreds, if not thousands of cigars. One of the only cigars that I've smoked all the way down to the end without ashing a single time. I have a photo from that Christmas Eve smoking here with my dad, and I couldn't. It's just this. I'm looking at everyone's cigar, beautiful white ash to start, and it just holds on for dear life. The construction is just, it's something to marvel at. There are only 3 cigars made in this shape, and how it burns so evenly and so perfectly, I just am always captivated by as I'm sitting there watching the cigar.
This thing is built like a skyscraper. It's built for sturdy, draw.
It is. It's very firm. It's packed. It's densely packed, but the draw is great. It's just constructed really well. Like you said, it's like an art form. What they're doing with the cigar. I mean, even like you mentioned, but down to the band. I mean, the Don Carlos band is like an embossed, thick piece of paper. I mean, it's everything that they're doing with the line is just A plus plus.
I mean, I like this cigar in any shape, though.
Yeah.
This one especially is just the pinnacle.
Well,
a lot of the
but
flavor notes.
I don't think the other cigars from the line that I've had taste anything like this. I mean, they
agree.
do, but
I
they
totally agree with you.
But this is completely a standout
I agree.
for me.
I've had Rooster. We've had this cigar. What's the other Don Carlos that comes in that black box? It's an anniversary of the Don Carlos.
Yeah, it's the is that the 80th?
It might be.
Yeah,
The man's
be.
80th, I think it's
80th
called. The
80th
man's
Yeah.
80th.
anniversary.
And that's a very good cigar. But to what Puba just said, I
Yeah,
completely
it's
agree.
not complex like this.
There's no Don Carlos that I've had that is. This is just one of the best cigars.
Yeah,
Period.
I haven't had a New World cigar that tastes anything like this.
Right.
I haven't had a cigar at all that tastes anything like what this cigar tastes like. It's kind of, which makes it really cool because it's like special all on its own. Even though it has that same band, it's technically part of the same line, but it's not the same.
Well, that
me.
goes to like the commentary on how much a shape can influence a blend.
Yeah, but is it all that? We don't know. I don't think that. I'm not sure that.
You think it's a different blend?
No, it is a different.
It's gotta be.
Arturo Fuente says it's a different blend.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no way it's the same blend. It wouldn't. I've had other cigars from the line, and they're just not. They just don't taste like this.
I don't think they're aging fillers as long as they do for this cigar and the rest of their line.
And this is the premier tobacco.
Oh yeah,
I mean, this is the best cigar Don Carlos makes. Period.
it's one of the best cigars in the world.
Agreed.
Wow, we're smoking the best cigar. In the
You know what's
world.
amazing is you get enjoyment on both ends. The smoke output, it's really tasty. It smells
Yeah,
awesome.
The
It's
after
fantastic.
the after scent aroma is
Yeah,
exceptional.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's the best
that
cigar
good.
out of Dominican Republic. Let's put it that way.
I mean, that's. I'm sorry. Like, first of all, if that's true, which I'm happy to have that debate because I think it's definitely top 3 out of the Dominican Republic. That's high praise.
Is this a
I mean,
Puro?
I
Davidoff
think
is out of.
I think it's top of the Dominican.
That's what I'm
Republic.
saying, like,
I mean,
that's-
what else do you put in the top 3?
I mean, the Chef's Edition. we
Chef's
reviewed,
Edition
I
came
put
out
up
of there.
Yeah, that's true.
But
So-
was that a Dominican Puro though?
No, neither is
Almost-
this.
This
almost
isn't
a
either.
Dominican Puro.
But
I think.
this isn't either.
No,
Cameroon
neither
wrapper
is.
on this.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
other
because
I
it's
mean,
got
that
the
had-
African. It's
So
a,
then, you know,
this is a truly. This is like going back to what we were when we were talking about Liga. This is like a real blend.
But that's a lot of Davidoff too. I mean, that's a lot of New World.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we're
yeah.
talking. It's a lot of New World.
I mean, this is a really unique. I think this is an expression. Kind of going back to we talked about with Liga, not really to compare the T9 to this, but because wouldn't be even fair. But I think that it's an expression of creativity that is interesting.
I was shocked when I read that this only came out 5 years ago. This cigar. I
I
mean,
didn't know that. Yeah.
it only came out in 2017. It's and obviously then they ported this size to Opus and to the Anejo. But I was surprised because this is a very high praise, well regarded, and like Senator said, when it pops up, it goes fast. Like the box I found, I found in the Dominican. There were none in the States. Like it's a very, very hard cigar to find.
I got mine off the back of the truck.
In Secaucus?
The thing I love about the shape, I love a torpedo, and I love just about any box press cigar. And the idea of being able to combine those two things, I mean, man, just incredible.
You know how you can tell this is not a Cuban? The band just came right off.
Yeah, it just opens up.
There was no struggle.
You mean you didn't rip the wrapper while you were?
No struggle at all.
You know,
This is-
we've talked about Padron a lot, obviously on the pod, and this is the first Fuente we had, first of many. But I think we've talked about it before. But you know, smoking this again under the microscope of the podcast, it really makes me excited for that upcoming pairing that they're putting out this summer, honoring each other's fathers. Like I can't wait to see what Fuente does for the Jose Padron and Padron does for. Carlito Fuente's dad.
Can't wait for you to procure those for us,
Oh, it's definitely. I will be all over that.
please.
I promise you that. I can't wait.
You know, it's it's not strong. It's elegant, and it's sophisticated. That's what it feels like, at least to me. It's, and I think the person who's going to smoke it and really appreciate it is someone who is somewhat of an aficionado. I mean, to really appreciate this, you gotta understand, to get the kind of flavor that you're getting out of this takes a lot of effort, craftsmanship, and like master blending to really blend something like this.
Yeah.
It's pretty artisanal.
I think you need a diversified palate to appreciate it. And someone who has had the strong cigars, has had the medium bodied, has had the lighter cigars, but full flavor, someone who can kind of go around all the different sections of someone's flavor profile,
I mean, this doesn't taste Cuban, but it's like, it's in my wheelhouse. It doesn't taste Cuban.
Not at all. It doesn't have, to me, it has no Cuban profile.
Qualities whatsoever. But what it does have is that kind of like medium, but full flavored delivery that's so satisfying. Like, to me, that's like the sweet spot. Senator, that's your sweet spot. That's like where it's like, it's delivering this like long, like you blow the smoke out of your mouth, right? And then it's like, it has this finish that just lasts and lasts. I can still taste it, right? It's like, it's still on your palate and it's just hanging out. And to me, that's a sophisticated, complex cigar, not something that's going to blow my hair back. Full flavored, medium powered, very sophisticated smoke.
And to your point, Puba, I mean, obviously, we're not ever going to suggest that this is like a Cuban, but there are certain elements of it, these sort of shortbread flavors, dessert-like flavors you get out of this, that's the kind of thing that reminds me of things that you would get out of like an Upmann Cuban.
I was just about to say that. It's exactly what, like, it reminds me of some of the qualities you get out of an aged Upmann 2, or like, and you're just, it gives you that really wonderful thing that you need sometimes, which is kind of these baking spices, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of it. It's delicious. It makes made the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. I'm not trying to sound like a loser.
No, it's true.
But this is a great fucking cigar.
It tastes like a Lorna Doone. It's like a Lorna, if there was a Lorna Doone cookie cigar.
It's a great cigar.
To me, it just, when I smoke this cigar, time just slows down a little bit. Like it really demands your appreciation and your time.
It takes time to smoke the cigar. Yeah.
It's you take your time. I don't rush it. It's great.
And the MSRP on this cigar, by the way, is only $12.50.
No, it's not.
Good luck
no.
finding it.
I'm saying the MSRP is. I know that's not where you're going to find it. That's the MSRP on this cigar,
but
according to CA.
Yeah, whatever. So it's funny. I was on CA. They actually listed at 22.
Oh, well, there you go. I literally was
MSRP
just
doesn't
looking.
mean anything.
What you'll find it on
That's true.
at any retailer for is anywhere between 18 and 25.
MSRP for anyone in retail means nothing.
Sure, but I'm just saying that it's interesting that it's not a $50 cigar.
Right.
It's not a $60 cigar. To me, this is worth, and I hope Carlito doesn't listen to this and change the price, but this is worth $50 to me. That's the kind of smoke that we have here. This at $18 to $25 is a value smoke all day, every day.
I 100% agree with that.
Do you guys want to get into our pairing tonight?
I got to tell you, the sherry notes I'm getting right off of this scotch is fantastic.
What is this scotch?
And it goes beautifully with this particular cigar.
So
Wow.
I'm happy to just tee it up a bit. I did not bring this, so I want to thank Pagoda.
Pagoda.
Is the source of our pairing tonight, the Aberlour 12. I did suggest this pairing because I've had this before. I actually really like this scotch, and I obviously love this cigar, so I wanted to do it justice by pairing something with some sweet sherry notes that I think would pair nicely. And the Aberlour 12 It's paired. It's aged half in sherry casks and half in ex bourbon barrels, and I think it is, Giz uses this word a lot, approachable.
I stole that from Puba, by the way.
Or
But
from Puba. And I think that it's a very, very approachable single malt in the sense that, one, I think it's very smooth.
yeah, it's really nice.
Two, I think it has, the sherry sweetness really dominates in terms of the flavor profile. And I think it's really versatile. I think it just works in a lot of different ways. So I only recently in the last 2 years started to get into Aberlour. They make a lot, and I've been very impressed with what I've tried.
So I don't know much about Aberlour, but I've had it before, but I just haven't done the research for it. This Scotch to me is very sherry forward, more so than other. I mean, we all love sherry cask Scotch. This is you really get hit with it soon when you taste it.
Well, that's what I said when I first tasted it before we hit record, because that's what I always do. I don't
Sneak
wait.
a little taste.
I always sneak a little taste.
You rebel.
And Giz gets mad at me and says, "What are you doing tasting it?" I go, "No, I'm drinking it now." And I said to when Senator was grabbing the package that it came in, and I said, this has got to be sherry cask. Like, this is full." He goes, "It's half American oak, half sherry." But you can really get, I mean, that's what I got. I was like, boom, sherry bomb.
It is.
I'm getting sherry, very more sherry pronounced on the first sip. My finish is definitely oaky though. Definitely oaky.
It's a really nice pairing with the cigar too. Very nice.
Yeah, it's terrific because it's the sherry is sweet, and it pairs really nice because this is kind of this cigar has a lot of sweetness to it. Definitely a dessert cigar.
Absolutely. And I'm just watching.
terrific.
We've done quite a few pods now. We've certainly smoked a lot of cigars together, and the rhythm that everybody is smoking with this cigar is so different than any other cigar we smoke. It's almost like it's like a dance, a little bit, like just the way you have to treat and appreciate the cigar.
You don't want it to end.
You don't. You don't want it to burn out, and you don't want it to end.
You don't want it to end. It really delivers a full experience, which is nice, so classy and unlike anything else. I mean, I haven't really tasted a standard line Fuente or Don Carlos that tastes like this. It just doesn't.
Pretty consistent so far, right?
Which
Flavors haven't really changed that much.
And I don't want it to.
No, it's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, this is really enjoyable. It's definitely not a meal for me. I mean, to say from steak to lemon meringue, but
So you're getting meat notes as
I'm
well.
getting a lot of sweetness.
You're not getting the meat sweats like me.
I'm not
Just
getting
getting some lamb vindaloo.
Some Brussels sprouts.
Lamb Rogan Josh.
Rogan Josh. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's
Bloody.
like I think everyone's mentioning. It's one of the cigars you do want to really kind of we're savoring it, right? Like enjoying it moment by moment. It's great. Good amount of like for me, I don't even get some of the citrus notes which some people are talking about, and maybe my palate's very
I don't
different.
get it either. Yeah.
But I'm definitely getting the sweetness, the baking spices, and the creaminess, and that's why I'm really enjoying it. I think I just enjoy these types of cigars anyway, so it's been great. And in terms of the whiskey, this is the first time I'm actually trying this. I know Senator suggested a couple of whiskeys, and I thought I'd bring this one for this particular podcast, and surprisingly, I've really, really enjoying it, and I've got to try and bring it into my, I guess, collection of whiskeys that I really typically enjoy. Yeah, I'm getting more of the sherry. I haven't been and it's the sweetness is persistent even in the back end, which I'm really enjoying because oftentimes when I'll have whiskey, I'll get the sweetness and then a slight sharp taste in the back when I'm somewhat gulping it. But in this particular case, it's the sweetness is pretty well sustained. Really enjoying it. Uh, I think I'm going to go back and meditate. So
I mean, the funny thing is, when you're talking about the sherry and the sweetness, having had this before, I thought this was 100% aged in sherry cask. I did not know that it was half and half until picking up the bottle and actually looking at it. So, why I've always enjoyed Aberlour, I love almost anything in sherry. We've talked about, Macallan 12 sherry. That's a lot of our favorite, everyday scotch. And Aberlour, I think, really delivers on the sherry front.
Well, yeah, and even the packaging's red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, subliminally, you're thinking this is going to taste like sherry.
What's the price on this thing?
Aberlour is, well, actually,
yeah, it wasn't very expensive. I think it was around $50 plus or minus, maybe closer to 60. I'm
no,
not
no.
sure.
Well, I don't know what you pay. I mean, usually the MSRP on this is usually 45.
Oh, is
It's
that
not
right?
expensive. It's actually very affordable.
MSRP.
Yeah, it might have been 50 with taxes. Because I ended up buying quite a few scotches, and it's just
This is a wonderful. This serves it to me. It's like it's a wonderful after dinner drink. It's not a scotch that I would pick up like a Macallan, like I would before dinner or anytime.
Anytime.
In the shower.
In the shower.
in the shower or with an omelet, but or with a ham sandwich, anytime. But
Caesar salad.
Caesar, exactly, Caesar salad. We love Caesar. How much do we love Caesar salad? Come on.
All right, let me just say that
Come on.
Puba and Grinder have a side chat. And I think that
What are you talking about?
you have a side chat and we all know it. And we're all aware of this side chat. And I feel like it's full of Caesar salads and whiskeys and just memes. That is what you do all day.
Well, but no, we talk about Caesar salad. And then we talk about, other issues that maybe we all aren't aligned on.
So there's a debate.
But not really. But we do love Caesar. We love the Caesar salad from we love Caesar salad from the Pizza Love. We love that.
I don't think I've been in this room and see so many long ashes on our cigars.
Yeah, mine's
I mean,
almost what, 2 inches?
this is
multiple
outrageous.
2-inch. Look at this. It's crazy.
You try to
At
ash this, it
almost
doesn't
every
come off.
stick.
And I
It's
think
unreal.
Gizmo's ahead of all of us right now. Look at that thing.
I plan to keep
Senator's
it going.
right behind.
So I don't know the cigar. We all have the similar.
Wow, look at your ash.
Yeah, similar.
Unreal.
So the first time that
Look at Senator's ash.
first time Senator gave me one
Should
of
run
these.
for office with that ash.
First time Senator gave this to me, I smoked it down, if you remember, and it was a no ash thing, kind of like that Anahata we had a few weeks ago. But, I find that these at 65 or 65 RH humidity are they're smoking brilliantly, just a touch lower.
Yeah.
Smoking great.
Yeah. That Anahata, that Upman Anahata, 2011. What a cigar.
I just got a box of those yesterday
I've got a box coming.
From who?
from RG.
Yes, sir.
From your group, Puba.
That's
Thanks
right.
for
It was
letting
up.
me know.
Thanks for introducing us.
You're welcome.
Bam Bam is going to wreak havoc on that group.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna whip his dick out and make everyone quiver.
Just back on the construction. Again, I think if we went around this room and asked how many times you've had a cigar that you smoked all the way down to the end without ashing a single time, we'd all say very few and far between. And I'm just amazed. Again, it's been months since I've had this. I'm looking around. I mean, almost so many guys have 2-inch ashes on their cigar that they haven't ashed, haven't touched up. And it's just one of the only, the construction is so consistently outstanding. I'm always blown away by it.
And I'll piggyback on that. I still can't believe that this is an $18 to $25 cigar. I can't believe it.
Honestly,
can't believe it.
if these stop being made, which I would shed tears over. But if they did, and you had to pay $50, $80 to get another one of these to have this experience again, I would absolutely do it.
I think we all would.
In a heartbeat.
This
Yeah.
is something you just chase.
Yeah.
It's a special occasion stick.
Yeah, it
I
is.
feel like I should ash it because I'm like scared it's gonna fall on my lap or worse, Senator's
Just
floor.
hold it. Just hold it like Bam.
Yeah, just hold it.
Look at Bam. That's the way I want to do it.
I asked mine once.
I think
but-
Rooster's got 5-6 boxes of these somewhere.
Oh, he definitely does.
Oh, he does.
He did. They searched your locker. And
You got popped.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
called Mrs. Rooster. She told me.
No, they. What's it called?
The narcs.
North Korea.
What's the North Korean leader's name?
Kim
Kim
Jong.
Kim Jong
Bill.
Un.
Mrs. Ill.
She is ill.
Mrs. Ill. Kim Jong's wife searched her locker.
Yeah.
He's still a bachelor.
Yeah, yeah. The great leader's wife. She does all the dirty work. She searched her locker.
She's the one.
She
they
found 5
assassinates.
boxes of sharks.
Sorry, they're still there.
Are they really?
Of
You
course.
don't keep that shit.
I
man.
do too.
It's like
This is from
70.
there.
It's like 78 degrees relative humidity in those lockers.
I know.
The cigars probably have like
Well, that's-
mold all over them.
That's probably mine's not burning as well as yours.
Look at it! Look at it!
That's what I was
I
Oh
saying.
know.
my
I wanna
God! It's
say.
boating.
That's what I was
I
saying.
know.
Your cigar
I
isn't even
know.
burning. Oh, see, I
gotta
didn't
get it.
even see that. You
Should have
see?
taken one from Senator.
You should have
Humidor.
taken-
Should have.
North Korea.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
take
like
another one.
87 degrees. Like
Start now.
sabotages.
Start now.
You know, they
Swamp,
like
it's swampland over there. Man.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
They, you
You're
know
right.
what? They're taking like a Vicks humidifier and like blasting it into your locker because you didn't buy the boxes there.
I want to.
Like blasting it in there.
I want to make this.
Sabotage your cigars.
I want to pick up on
It's
that
ri-
because
it's lunacy.
I think this is actually important for listeners that either are members of cigar lounges or are going to join a cigar lounge. Obviously, a locker comes with being a lounge member just about anywhere. And something every listener should do is make sure just stick a little hydrometer in that locker and understand what that cigar shop owner or lounge owner keeps those lockers at. And if the humidity is higher than 70%, you need to absolutely not store anything in there. And if it's going to be 68, 70, then that's fine for New World cigars, but do not put Cubans in there.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, 100%, Senator. If you in cellophane in a box, you can get away with that.
This was in a box. These
in
were
cellophane in a
cellophane.
box, yeah.
But it's at like 75
Yeah,
there,
but
which
look
is
at
the
it.
problem.
Look at how that
It's not-
cigar is
it's not
burning.
burning.
It's
Look-
burning.
Look
but
at the difference.
It's
Look at the
also been in
difference.
there. It's been in there for a year, right, or more.
Over a
So
year.
Well,
I mean,
unless you wanna suck
and
up
through that
Pepsi.
time, I mean, cellophane is porous. I mean, the humidity affects it. I mean,
to Senator's point, like I'm not storing any premium cigars in an environment that I can't monitor the environment. Period. And most of the time at these cigar lounges, they're not maintaining. It's impossible for them to maintain a consistent homeostasis within these environments, whether it's temperature to relative humidity.
Fancy words.
It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So if there's no reason why invest in storage, you're better off in a stable Tupperware with the Boveda than you are in the variable conditions that exist at even some of the best cigar lounges. And we've know what these cigar lounges are. I mean, high end places that cost a lot of money, and they're not doing a great job with it. Maybe some do. I don't want to generalize too much, but be careful and monitor what's going on inside that locker, or you're going to have cigars that burn like crap. And in particular, you got to be careful with Cuban cigars, because if the humidity gets really above even 60, 67, 68, you start approaching 70, you can get cigar beetles in a heartbeat that hatch, and that can ruin a box of cigars even spread to other lockers. So you just you can't do it. You really can't store Cubans, but in particular in some of these lockers, you can't do it.
And this goes back to what we were saying about just the retail environment in general. I think a lot of times when we buy a cigar, like Bam bought some cigars that we're going to review in the coming weeks, like we take them home from that retailer because we can't trust that those retailers are keeping them well, and we store them in our own environment so that when we review them on the pod and we give you a rating, that they're coming from a consistent situation humidity wise.
Right. The reason why retailers store it, they say 70, 70, 70. It's because that's the ratio that they can actually manage the environment like a huge JR cigar that easily, where people coming in and out, there's air conditioning, there's humidity. They can only really keep it. They can't really keep the relative humidity down that low with people coming in. So they just say the happy medium in a retail environment is going to be 70, 70. So they kind of promote that. But when really it's not the ideal storage conditions for cigars, in my
Absolutely.
opinion.
I agree. It's not
They're
even
doing
close.
that for practical purposes. And then a lot of average cigar smokers just walk out with their cigars and they may not smoke them, put them in a bad environment, and they don't want them to dry out immediately. So, they're hedging and they're saying, I can't keep this environment like this. It's just not realistic to keep it in anything else but 70, 70.
The flavor differences between cigars that are maintained below 70 and those that are not is actually very noticeable. Like it's probably more so with Cubans. Like Cuban cigars are meant to have a little dryness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you have a cigar that's maintained at 71, whatever it is, 70, 71, and then you have one at 68, on the less humid side, a priori, no difference aside from that. That's the only control that you change. You're definitely going to notice a big difference, in my opinion, for flavor profile. Now, you want to have some humidity. It can't be bone dry. But in my experience, it's better to err on the drier side than the more moist side.
It really is. And you know what's sad is it's not even just retailers. I feel like just the cigar industry did everyone a disservice by it probably being very easy and convenient to say you want your humidor at 70% humidity and 70 degrees, right? Same number. How hard can that be to forget? And I remember when I first started smoking cigars years ago, I would worry if my humidor got below 70. When I first started smoking cigars, that's how you're taught. You're told 70 and 70 are the numbers that you want. And as you smoke more cigars and you start experimenting with this and you learn from other lizards that have come before us, you realize that that's actually it's not very helpful. You want your cigars to be, if they're Cuban, 62 to 65. If they're non-Cuban, 62 to I would say 68. I guess some people would say 70. But you absolutely categorically never want to hit a 7 on that humidity reading. And it's just disappointing to me that still I feel like if you were to Google right now what you should keep your cigars at and you just looked at a major retailer's website, that's what it would tell you. And I think we all know, as any lizard or real intense cigar smoker knows, you want to be below that.
Yeah, you do. And look, it's hard to keep a really large humidor. Like if you go into a big JR cigar and they've got, that's a
3,000, 4,000 square foot.
4,000 square foot place. They're not keeping the temperature any lower than 70. Okay, they're just not, and they're not going to be able to control it in there with people coming in and out and everything else and people in there. So it's too hard to manage. So that's what they manage it at.
Does the outside temperature make a difference? Let's say it's the summer or the winter.
Of course.
I think so.
Yeah, humidity
definitely.
goes up in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
These are a good humidor, cabinet, tower, or otherwise, or desktop, is taking the draw is that it to use your word, homeostasis. You're maintaining a certain environment, and that's good, but it is still semi-organic. It's still porous. It's still going to consume the environment around it in some way, and in wintertime it's drier and colder, and summertime it's hotter and warmer and more humid. And you're gonna have to another word we use a lot. You're gonna have to calibrate accordingly.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to run big dehumidifiers and humidifiers?
No, they're not.
They're
Right.
not. It's not going to happen. So 70/70 is manageable for a big retailer.
And it's let's be honest, it's room temperature.
Right.
But temperature is not the problem.
It's humidity.
Humidity is the
Yeah.
problem. 70 is the perfect temperature. 68 to 72. Temperature really isn't the problem if you're managing your humidity. If your humidity is under 70, 65, 62 for Cubans, you're going to be fine. It's, like you said, it's just not manageable in that size square footage. It's just not. But at home, guys, I mean, every time you open your even like you said, it's keeping it stable. But every time you open it to grab stick, it's transferring that whatever's inside it with the ambient outside of it, and it's really affecting it. So for me, when I open my tower in the summer, it's it affects it pretty quickly. Winter, it's a little bit better because it's lower and then it adjusts back up with the Boveda.
Yeah, the delta isn't as
exactly.
big.
Summer's a little tougher.
Here's a question for you guys. When you were at the Padron facility, you said they kept their cigars at 56 degrees.
There was a reason for that.
Why is that?
They're not holding it for that long. It comes and goes. So the reason why they keep it that cold, it's literally coming off of the plane in
Yeah,
like
which has
massive
been
boxes.
Hot.
Right? So they kind of keep it cool, and it goes right into, they sort it out and box them, and out it goes. I mean, they have a huge issue with supply and demand right now. I mean, they can't supply the demand.
So what does the cold give them? The colder temperature.
Dehumidification and lower temperature coming off that plane, coming from Nicaragua, where obviously it's warmer and more humid, but they're putting it right into boxes and then it's getting sent back out. I mean, listen, New World cigars aren't as delicate as Cubans, right? So,
Right.
as long as before you smoke it, you've given it a period of time to acclimate to whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
Yeah, they're shipping it right out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Cold is not going to really hurt a cigar. I mean, a lot of guys that quick fluctuations in temperature quick ones, but a lot of people, and it's somewhat advisable, freeze their boxes of Cubans when they absolutely
Wow.
to kill
Especially
cigar
Brussels.
beetles.
Yeah, especially
it
farm
kills
rolls.
beetles.
Are you kidding me?
Kills
Oh, yeah.
beetles.
I'm not kidding you.
I've never heard of that.
But
No,
it's
no,
only
it's not.
no.
Yeah. There's no
this
joke
is
here.
regular practice.
It's fascinating.
Habanos does
best
that.
practices.
Habanos
I
does
had
that.
I had no idea.
Best practice is if you have any concern
Wow.
that you have cigar beetles, what anything will tell you to do is to freeze
Everything.
every cigar in that humidor for, I forget the period of time. You can look
About
this
2
up.
weeks.
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
You do it.
It will kill any beetles, and then you can return them to your humidor, and you'll be fine. So no, that's just best practice.
Very
So,
interesting fact.
About 15 years ago, Habanos started. So there was a beetle problem in the 90s and early 2000s, and Habanos actually started freezing everything that leaves the island from Cuba is frozen before it reaches
wow.
a distributor. But I guess more specifically to today, that's less of a problem now with Cubans, unless you're getting farm rolls or custom rolls, like we mentioned. Those, if I was ordering a farm roll from a random guy on the island somewhere, I would absolutely be freezing those when they came
Some
in.
people, some people still do it once it happens. Once you get a cigar beetle or two in your humidor,
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, and
Yeah.
there are people out there on our groups and other places who always do it because once it happens, it happens.
I'm getting a slight erection on this over here, what I'm seeing.
Well, with the
Look at these two guys.
with our ashes.
with their ashes. Incredible. It's incredible.
So I look, I couldn't have scripted this better because I love this cigar, and this is the only cigar I've smoked 2 of these all the way down without ashing, and like clockwork, I can't even believe I'm almost at the end. I mean, everyone can see my cigar.
Grinder's
Every
right
listener can
there.
See this?
Grinder's right there.
Grinder's there. I'm there. Giz is there.
Now I haven't ashed
Literally,
yet.
just look at this. Almost down to the edge. Hasn't been ashed a single time, and yet again, a Don Carlos Shark I will have smoked without ashing a single time.
Yeah.
I've got inches of
It's
ash
sturdy. It's sturdy.
It's just it's a sight to be seen.
I'm
I'm
so
right.
well built.
I'm
When you
right
said
there
a
with you.
skyscraper,
Built like a skyscraper.
when Grinder said a skyscraper, I feel like it's the perfect analogy. That's exactly. It's just something to marvel.
Well, I think now you can enter the Rocky Patel competition.
That's right.
No,
I
the
totally
problem.
forgot about
the
that.
problem. No. So this is the problem. So I'm probably smoking this faster than most guys in the room. The problem is you have to smoke it the longest, the slowest. That's why I said Rooster. We need to enter into that.
With a Don Carlos Shark.
Well, you're gonna have to smoke a
Yeah,
Rocky,
just-
which
yeah.
he'll tap out in 2 seconds.
There is
You
no
won't even-
fucking way.
Are you fucking kidding
Are
me?
you fucking kidding me?
So what are you guys getting? We're coming into the last third
Yeah.
here. What are you guys getting on this cigar right now?
Just
I mean,
greatness. I'm just kidding.
just greatness.
Just kidding.
Five-
What a
Just
flavor
greatness.
note. Greatness.
Love that greatness.
What are you guys getting? I'm still getting that sweetness.
Yeah, it's a continuation of the same notes.
It's
that
not
it
changing.
hasn't
Yeah.
changed. Yeah.
No, that's what I love. As the consistency guy, the flavors are consistent. I just feel like as you go along with this cigar, they pick up a little bit in strength in that they're a little bit bolder than when they start, and it's still spectacular.
Yeah, a little bit more enhanced flavors from the beginning.
No.
There goes the ash.
Uh-oh.
Perfect.
Grinder just had an emergency.
That's exactly what it is, Rooster. It's just enhanced from what it was from at the top. It's just a great progression. It's linear, but in a really good way.
As Senator, we talked about on previous pods, it's a one-act play, but it's just the best one-act play you
It's a
can
great
find.
act.
The one act that I want.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah, agreed.
Fantastic smoke. By the way, I wanted to say one thing. I'm obsessed, and thanks to you guys, I'm obsessed with this show Yellowstone. I know. I mean, there's a bunch of guys in the group who are watching this right now. I have watched 3 seasons in about a week. I am absolutely obsessed with this show.
Great show.
it's outstanding.
It's up there with Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Ozark, that type of show for me. I cannot get enough of it.
Well, yeah, it's the Open West. It's Costner.
Costner's so good.
It's Costner.
unbelievable.
It's
By the way, the woman who plays Beth Dutton,
Beth is
in
so
that,
good.
I've never seen act in anything. I don't even know her name. She's an outstanding actress.
she's an
Incredible.
outstanding.
Outstanding.
Actress. She's the power. She's delivering power and intensity.
Is that the
That's like-
blonde? Is that the
Yes,
blonde?
Yeah.
that's the blonde. The
She's
daughter.
also quite
daughter.
hot.
She is also quite
She's hot.
She is, and Rip, her husband.
Oh, Rip is awesome.
Rip is just
He's
like,
awesome.
That guy is just. He's like, oh man, that guy.
I went to. It's so funny. I went to dinner with my wife, and I went to dinner with another couple. Well, literally just a couple days ago, and Yellowstone came up, and the husband's talking about, I love Yellowstone. I'm saying the same thing, and he's like, I will fully admit I have a man crush on Rip. He's like, what a great fucking character,
He's
and
the
I
best.
can't disagree with it.
I mean, the guys, he's out there doing everything for the ranch, totally loyal, because he like epitomizes somebody that you like want on your team. From a business perspective, he's so loyal.
To your point, my favorite Rip line in Yellowstone, he's explaining to, and I won't spoil this because maybe Giz isn't quite there yet. So I
I'm
won't-
only at the top of season
Yeah.
3.
I
so
won't. I won't set any context, so it won't spoil anything. But Rip says a line to this person who needs some guidance, and he says the key to success is to understand that in life you deserve nothing, and it stuck with me in such an important way. We don't deserve anything that we have. We operate every day trying to earn what we have. Nothing's owed to any of us. Nothing. It's constantly earned. I mean, our friendship says Lizard. We don't take that for granted. They're not deserved. They're earned. We
And it can be
cultivate
taken
these
away.
things, and it can be taken away. And that I think it's such an important line that just resonated with me far beyond watching an entertaining show. I just think is really instructive in
There are
life.
lots of those pearls in there.
There are.
It's a great lesson
There's
for
lots
kids.
of those pearls.
Great lesson for kids.
In that show. As much as there's violence and conflict and other things, but the show is great, and the production of it also.
Yeah.
1883.
Is that a spin-off
Which is the
type-
prequel.
Yeah.
Is outstanding.
I got to watch that. I haven't seen that.
It's Faith Hill and Tim McGraw.
Well, don't forget
and
Rooster's.
Isabel May.
Isabel
Don't forget
May.
Rooster's favorite.
Isabel May.
Isabel May, which is slightly creepy that you're so obsessed with her, given your age and hers, but whatever.
You can have Faith Hill.
I'll take Faith Hill.
Are you out of your mind? Are you fucking kidding me?
Faith Hill is a woman.
She is. From top to bottom.
She's outstanding.
There's
Oh,
something
yeah.
about the show,
Capacity.
though, and maybe it's the Beth character, the writing. I don't know what it is, but it's like
Beth.
it's Succession meets Sopranos meets the Wild West. I mean, it's just checks every box.
Well, it's got everything that
it's
you
got
need
everything.
in a Western.
Yes.
It's man's conflict with himself. It's man's conflict with the world and the idea of what the world should be. It's all those things.
I've always described this to friends as I think exactly like Puba said, there are those great Western elements to it. And I'm not a guy that enjoys Westerns. That's just not really my genre. I think Giz and I have that in common. We were talking about that.
Definitely.
But it's a Western meets Succession meets House of Cards. Because with Succession, you have the family dynamic of who's going to take control after the father. And with House of Cards, the political element throughout the entirety of the show
right.
is ever present.
Right.
I mean,
And
it's
then
all
you-
about land preservation. You want to keep the family wants to keep the land, and
Keep control of being able to keep the land.
Parties outside want to take over.
Right. And the landscape, the visual landscape
Yes.
and the
Yes,
aesthetic
it's so great.
landscape
Beautiful.
is
scenic.
beautiful, but it's also just as dynamic as like the landscape of New York and the dynamics that happen in Secession. It's like, that's a landscape. That's a dynamic, interesting landscape of New York City. And then you go to the other polar extreme and it's this dynamic landscape of the West. And it's very, very well done. There are few shows like this out
It's
there.
very rare
good.
it's very rare that I binge a show like I am binging this. I'm 1000% obsessed with this show,
It's the
and
number one show in America.
I recommend it to everyone. And I thank you guys for turning me on to it. So, what do you guys think? I mean, we are coming to the end of the
FLR.
formal lizard rating, the FLR. We're coming to the end of the Don Carlos Eye of the Shark here. I still haven't ashed. Senator still hasn't ashed. Bam Bam still hasn't ashed.
I
Grinder is ash.
He ashed all over himself.
accidentally ashed on myself.
I can still see it on his jeans.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
He's waiting. Like, he's
I'm
giving
wait-
me the eye, like, hey, dude.
I need to go. I need to stand up, walk outside, and de-ash myself.
Yeah. He ashed all over himself like he does every night.
Oh.
Or every morning.
You just got shanked.
Yeah, I'm
across
gonna give you the pagoda stick today.
we gotta rate. We gotta rate this.
We got to rate the stick. I mean, I got to give it to you, Rooster. Go.
All right. So this is going to be an aggregate rating from all the sharks that I've had. It's a 10.
It's a 10 for
It's
me.
a 10.
It's a 10 for me too.
It's a 10.
It's a 10 for me. Not even close.
It's a 10.
I just have to say, this episode means a lot to me because I love this cigar so much. And I was fully prepared. And I can't believe, again, I haven't ashed them all the way down to the end. I was going to give this a 10. I thought I would be the only lizard in this room that gave it a 10. This warms my heart like words can't describe.
The ratings are not done yet.
Oh.
Pagoda?
Pagoda?
Pagoda may not be strong enough for him.
No, he's a
A strong 9.
See?
All right,
Not
there you
strong
go.
enough for him.
That's
Okay, all right. I'm a 10.
10.
That's a 10.13. Or sorry, 9.13.
He wasn't kidding again.
9.13.
He wasn't kidding.
Yeah, it's
What
going
is
to
it?
be 9.8.
It's a 9.9.
Wow.
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 It's only one 9.
So that is
Wow.
that is not even close. It's not even close. That's the highest rating that we've ever
Wow.
given on this podcast so far.
Yeah.
All right.
Not even close.
I need to de-ash
Unreal.
myself.
You know,
Please email us if you need any
Can
boxes.
I watch?
I mean, guys, what a special cigar.
Yeah.
Senator, thank you.
Thank you.
Pagoda,
you.
thank you for the scotch. I mean, that says it all. A 9.9 boys for the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Eye of the Shark. And go out. If you can find these cigars, find them, smoke them, enjoy them, appreciate them. And we'll see you guys next week.
Keep smoking.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, loungelizardspod, P-O-D, that's loungelizardspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.